is Keels.
Back at it again with another episode of Bikini Bottom Banter. And this week we did No Free Rides and I'm Your Biggest Fan. So, no free rides. I think Keels. How many times has SpongeBob said? How many times has SpongeBob been like, I'm going to get my license and everything like that? He was on that Cardi B status.
As far as I know, the whole series.
Yeah,
because I don't know if he got it in the later series or not.
It's like the recurring joke, but
yeah.
Finally, season 2, not even like a full season in, Mrs. Puff has the grand idea because she's like, I'm done with it. I'm tired of SpongeBob coming in and doing his shenanigans. If I offer extra credit and he passes extra credit, I'll give him his license and he'll be out of my hair. So Mrs. Puff says to write an essay of what he learned in boating school. What I learned in boating school is blankety, blankety, blank.
She was just like, write something. Just something. Do you want your license or not?
Exactly. Like, yo, like for no reason, untriggered.
Yo, write something. Like red means stop, green means go, something.
Yup, anything.
So
Literally,
you get your license.
He could have put down anything, any kind of gibberish.
Yeah, that's what she did.
It ended up with like a cartoon. Like it was just like, what the heck?
She was like, this is good enough. Here's your license.
Yup. But then she finally realizes when giving him the license, she gets surprised by SpongeBob's parents that they got him a boat. And all of her fears come to fruition where it's just like, wow, like what have I done? Like
he gonna kill somebody on the road.
Yep. That premonition vision where she just looks at and the birthday, happy birthday, and then he just runs over everyone. He killed the whole party.
That was definitely one of my favorite jokes.
That's a dark joke. She essentially says, I gotta break into his house and get the car.
Which shows the dark side of Mrs. Puff.
So do you want to, before we get into the jokes, do you actually want to discuss that? The dark side of Mrs. Puff?
Yeah, we can do that.
Diving deep.
Bro. I don't know if the later episodes do it, but we gotta know, like, what is her whole story and her criminal past, because this episode, it alluded to her, changing her name?
Yeah, she said...
she possibly killed somebody in the past.
Yep. So she said, there's this one clip where after the parents give him the boatmobile, like, where she's like, I have to leave town, start a new boating school with a new name.
Right.
And then she looks and is like, not again.
Not again.
And I'm like, again? Wait a minute.
Right. So, like, did she give somebody else her or their driver's license and then it just went completely worse? Like, what happened?
So, I'm putting a little bit of content to it from a future episode that we're doing where Mr. Krabs is trying to date Mrs. Puff. And he says, Mrs. Puff, she's married. And then SpongeBob's like, no, she's single. And then it's like, what happened to Mr. Puff? And they cut to, like, the light where she doesn't like to talk about it. So the theory is that apparently Mrs. Puff is just her alias name.
Right,
Mr. Puff somewhere in there passed. Yeah. Maybe he died because she killed him.
Yeah, shoot, probably.
But I mean, also, if you look at every episode where Mrs. Puff gets arrested, doesn't it seem a little like the fact that they throw her in hardcore jail versus all other, like, think about Bikini Bottom in jail. Like, how many people commit crimes that are like not to that magnitude?
Yeah.
They must have some other dirt when they do her fingerprints.
She got a record. She's like, you got a record. Well, welcome back again.
Right.
You got a record.
Are you sure you're Mrs. Puff? Like, there's that one cop that's just like, when are you going to give up the gig and tell him your real name?
Whew.
Waiting for it.
The gig. That's crazy.
So, it's insane. I know in a future episode, apparently she goes under the alias Big Fat Meanie.
Oh, okay.
Which is like a good callback to like that episode.
To the episode, yeah.
But, I don't know. Mrs. Puff, I think she's low-key like... Yo, she's the criminal mastermind of Bikini Bottom in a way.
Forget Plankton.
Yo, Mrs. Puff was there with that sweet demeanor too, like, oh, don't worry.
Yeah, unexpected.
That's how they get you.
That's truly how they get you for sure.
Yo, and speaking about getting got, yo, R.I.P. to Mr. and Mrs. SquarePants' relationship. Mr. SquarePants, SpongeBob's dad, comes into this house and says, "We honor you as a member of the SquarePants family." Takes Mrs. Puff's hand and gives this really long,
he kisses it for like 30 seconds. He was like,
he was indulgent in that, like,
making out with her hand. He said,
And
she was like, okay, I think you made your point.
Yeah, the wife is like, I think you made your point, dear. Like, yo,
he turned red and stuff.
Yo, like,
see, but also that's another thing. Like, what if Mrs. Puff is like this old school sex symbol, and all the older guys can't resist? You know what I mean? That's why Mr. SquarePants was about to risk his whole marriage, and then that's why Mr. Krabs is after her.
Oh, another oldie that's after. Oh,
you know what I mean? And then I'm telling what happened to Mr. Puff.
Mr. Puff was maybe a pimp or something. Maybe it was just like an alias. It's just like one of the Puffs.
What if she's like a Black Widow or something?
Ooh,
that would be crazy.
Dang. I mean, hot take given the controversy, but Puff Daddy. Yeah. Her name is Puff Daddy.
Canceled.
Canceled. Dang.
Yeah, this gotta get us canceled.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know, Mrs. Puff, she definitely has a background where it's just like, I can see the Black Widow, I can see that alias.
That would be crazy, right?
Like, they really need to do an episode where, I think that'd be creative, just on the, like, you know, the creative side, like, that ties everything back, where it's just like, what was Mrs. Puff before she became the boating school instructor?
Yeah.
Like, and then SpongeBob broke her to her breaking point, where it's just like, I can't move on. Like, I could see that too. Like, in the backstory, it's like, I have to teach this person how to drive. It'll be my due diligence. And then somewhere in there, she just gives up and says, I can't do it. It's like, you know, Donald Pleasance's character in Halloween.
Oh, in Halloween, yeah.
How, like, he has so much hope.
I have to kill him.
And then he went from, I feel like I can reform him, to by the time he's an adult, I have to kill him. I shot him 5 times.
Yo, that's, I can't wait for Halloween. I shot him 6 times.
Or 6 times.
6 times.
Yo.
Right, that's Mrs. Puff.
That's Mrs. Puff, I'm telling you. It's SpongeBob. He's the murderous rampage on a run, just cruising in Bikini Bottom, killing people. Right. They should have replaced the theme when SpongeBob's driving with the Halloween theme.
But I mean, that's what she said. Like, after the dream, she was like, I am the one that has to stop this because I'm the one that gave him his license.
Yep.
So
she owned up.
Yeah, she owned up to the, to her mistake.
But still, it's crazy. Oh, I put this in notes. They were definitely playing around with the computer graphics in this episode.
1,000%.
Like,
1,000%.
They were like, it's 2000, 2001. Let's see what we can do.
Funny.
Yeah, I mean, what was your meme-worthy moment?
I didn't have a meme-worthy for this one. I couldn't find one.
I put the what I learned in boating school is.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That, because I was just like,
Yeah, I guess that's the closest one.
And then, what would you change?
There was the scene where Mrs. Puff seemingly successfully steals the boat. And then SpongeBob, finally catches her. And so she's doing all this type of stuff to get SpongeBob, like, off of the boat so she can just ride off and then, I guess, ditch the car or whatever. But there's all these obstacles, and she's like, oh, that'll lose them educational television. I would have liked a scene, just like a quick little scene, 5 seconds of them showing, like, an old cheesy...
Mr. Rogers type thing.
Something like that, or like one of those like educational videos that they used to show. Yeah. I would have liked something like that. Nothing big though. That just would have been the one thing I changed.
That's interesting. Yeah, I agree. Those obstacles were just like it seemed like I get it, but it's just like
Yeah. Yeah, this episode as a whole was an for me. The both segments, really.
That's fair. And again, like for the, I don't say this insultingly. It's just like I just don't think I would change anything because it is just like
kind of basic, yeah. And there are some funny parts in it, so it really is not enough to change, really.
I will agree with that though. Like just showing one little snippet clip of like the educational thing, puppets, something like
something like that, yeah.
Something like where it's like, oh my gosh, or it just holds to a stop on a TV. Just do the sound effect.
A puppet show would have been funny, like
right?
If they would have had him like sitting in front of like lamb chopping and him like,
oh my god,
going crazy.
This is the song that does end. Like, yo,
that's funny.
That would have been the perfect tie-in.
Exactly.
All you youngins out there,
they don't know about lamb chop.
Look on YouTube. The song that doesn't end.
Oh God.
Any final thoughts?
I like how Mrs. Puff curses. She'd be like, "Oh, Neptune."
Oh yeah.
She'd be like, "Barnacles." Dirty barnacles.
Yo.
I like how she curses because it's hilarious.
Mrs. Puff has a little potty mouth on her. See, from that old gridiron jail talk, like
right, dirty barnacles.
Dirty barnacles.
But that's really it for me as far as this episode. I don't know. I think I would have tried harder to make a meme-worthy moment if I was the one making the episode. But
that's fair.
No.
Hey, look, not all episodes, not all SpongeBob episodes have to have a meme. It's gonna be tough when we get into like the later,
because I don't think there are memes. We might have to switch up our whole format.
Possibly. The thing with meme culture is like
it's usually the old episodes.
It is usually the old episodes that they use, and also like
well, that's probably because we were SpongeBob heads as kids.
And millennial, I was just
about
to say.
The goober who probably made Twitter and,
has that mindset.
Probably. Well, he can't be that older than us, right?
Right. Like, I would say that
What's his name? Dempsey?
Well, I feel like most... Oh, you're talking about the creator? Or?
Who made Twitter?
Oh.
Jack Dempsey?
I don't...
Jack Dempster? Now I got it.
Well, while you're looking it up, I feel like when it comes to a lot of millennials, in general, like we are the culture that grew up, not only created, but like we live with meme culture.
True. We created it for sure.
The birth of the internet. So because of that, the audience, when it comes to the most popular memes,
low key, we're the tastemakers of that. So.
Right. We're those first 4 seasons because it's like that's what the bulk of us grew up with, and that's when I think SpongeBob was in its peak.
And these newer goobs are just on Instagram.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm not on Instagram, but I know that it's not like Twitter where you can post memes and stuff like that. It's actually for real pictures.
And was it?
It's Jack Dorsey.
Dorsey.
He's 47 though.
See, I knew it was Jack, but I was like, not Dempsey. I wanted it to be Patrick Dempsey.
Actually, no. Jack Dempsey, is that an old school boxer? Yes.
Dang.
All right, so Jack Dorsey.
There we go.
Jack Dorsey.
But yeah, no. So we might have to change it up.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when we get there.
And speaking of episodes that don't have memes, the next episode.
This hasn't.
I put the. I don't even call it.
It's not a meme, but it's meme worthy. I
guess.
The
womp.
Nah, we'll talk about it.
All right. So in this episode, SpongeBob goes to the jellyfish convention and he meets his hero, his idol, Kevin the Sea Cucumber. And this dude is just old-fashioned old.
Yeah, 1000%.
He's very narcissistic. Go ahead.
One of those guys, like, he's that narcissist, pompous, geek guy. Like who you probably would work at at GameStop or something.
Oh, good one.
I almost slapped somebody's glasses off at GameStop.
Power to the players, mother. Yo. But yeah, like that cliche, like know-it-all. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, exactly.
Geek Squad.
Yeah.
Over here, like, oh, well, if you just turn on your computer system right here. Whatever. But, it's just pretty basic.
Did you try turning it
off?
off?
68 years old. I don't know about computers. Stop belittling me.
Yo.
I fought in World War II.
Yo, that's funny.
But yeah, he's a terrible person, and SpongeBob unfortunately sees him as an idol.
Yeah.
So with that, he essentially puts him on a series of tasks where Kevin the Sea Cucumber's like, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that this dude likes me or admires me to this point.
Yeah.
Uses SpongeBob as a car to like ride him and the jelly squatters like all around Jellyfish Field.
Yeah, jelly spotters.
Yeah. Has him do a series of tests to try and get him hurt, and on the flip side, Kevin ends up getting hurt.
Yeah, by the king jellyfish.
Yup.
Because they were looking for the fictional queen jellyfish. Wait, is it fictional?
Yeah.
No, it's real, right?
Well, it is real. It is. They do establish that it's real. It's like myth legend, like where it's like, hey, it's out there.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's like
you ain't gonna find it,
right?
You know what I mean? So they're trying to make SpongeBob.
Loch Ness monster.
SpongeBob's trying to join the jelly spotters, and he's like, all right, you can join if you can find the queen.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. The red herring. Basically, if like someone was like, oh, you can join our squad if you can find Bigfoot. You know what I mean? Something like that. And
they end up playing him. They build a machine, and that's actually Kevin who does it. Builds a machine just to kind of get back at SpongeBob. I don't know. I thought it was like kind of like an ad premise, but it attracts the king jellyfish, who then in turn, Kevin has his little whip moment where he's like, he can't take on the king jellyfish. Mm-hmm. He's like, I was only in it for the fashion. I don't know.
Yo.
So I'll say this before we get into favorite jokes. What little there are. I'm going to ask you the same thing, like how you felt as a kid. But even as a kid, I just hated this character. I hated Kevin the Sea Cucumber.
He was for sure a jerk in this episode. I did not like him. I more so like the anchovies in the episode.
Right.
But not Kevin.
And I know that's the point. You're supposed to dislike him. Yeah. But here's a good example, like Bubble Bass.
But that turns you off on the episode.
It does.
Cartoons really, and not even cartoons, TV shows in general. You got to be careful with like how good you make the evil character, because
sometimes they shine it.
I hate that episode. I hate that episode because Kevin is such a head.
Yeah.
I hate it.
See, and that's the thing, like, if there's one thing, there's like, another animated show, but here's like borderline evil. I think Draken from Kim Possible is a good. He's evil, but he's fun, delicious evil. Yes. Same thing with Plankton, who's more relatable to the show.
Exactly.
It's delicious evil.
I like that
this
term.
Was like,
I like that term.
Right, like this is like a very. He's not fun. He's condescending, and he's also like his level of evil is just not entertaining or fun. He's not having fun with it. He's trying to torture SpongeBob, and then the jellyfish come in, and they end up hurting him instead. Yeah. So it's like you find the comedy is in there. It's like, well, yeah, that's the point, but it's like, yeah, but I don't want to see this again. Like
that. Yeah, that's how I felt about the April Fool's Day episode.
Oh, with Squidward, where he's like, I don't want to see him go this low. Everybody always goes to that. Like, that's his worst moment.
Bro, I don't know what they was thinking in the room, in the production room and all that, but
they were like, yeah,
bruh,
who would have thought 20 years later they're getting on Twitter. How dare you do that to SpongeBob?
Yo, I plan on never watching that episode again.
Dang, it scarred you like that?
Just because, like, yo, why are you doing that? Right. Why you did that to him?
So, in all that, so what are your favorite jokes in this?
My favorite jokes, definitely from the anchovies. Like, most of it is from the anchovies.
Right.
Like, their little chime-ins, like, no, Kevin, no, he's a geek.
Forgetting the most famous one.
The dude that got shocked by the king the king jellyfish.
Oh, meat.
He was like, meat. He's like signaling them like, oh, it's all good. Meat. And then he gets zapped. He's like, no, meat.
Yo, the classic. Wow.
And then was it when they first meet Kevin and SpongeBob is like, we love you, Kevin.
Oh my gosh. How about the fact that this man has a whole like fan base that's barren in the cave? So that they, hey, look guys, Kevin is back.
Yo, his whole family. Oh, I forgot how he did them.
His whole fan base is
Hi,
trapped.
Kevin.
They had a whole fire like Kevin.
Right, they left him homeless,
Dang.
abandoned.
We need a backstory. That's the thing I would change. Not even favorite joke. Like, I need an explanation for that. Hold on there.
Yo, there needs to be a season of like. There just needs to be a season of like just them going back to the old episodes and just backstory. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of the episodes really don't have nothing to do with SpongeBob and Patrick and them. It's just the random things that we see. You know what I mean? Like the Miss Puff episode. Right. You know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of the saving grace. In a way, I get it, where it's like the continuity. But I feel like another reason why SpongeBob is similar to The Simpsons, where it has its own little continuity things in some episodes.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's not connected.
They don't like acknowledge like, oh, remember this in this episode? Like if there's a character, it's like, okay, like we know Plankton is like this because his premises and everything.
Oh, well, SpongeBob doesn't do that. The Simpsons do.
The Simpsons, yeah,
the
more
Simpsons
so.
do.
So The Simpsons more so than SpongeBob. But all I'm saying is, I think that like they've kind of. I remember the first time I noticed a continuity thing in SpongeBob. It was like a later episode where Mr. Krabs was like, and we'll put this invention with all your rest of yours, Plankton. And they had the crab bot thing from like the one episode. I'm like, oh my gosh, like they actually acknowledged that happened. I'm like, okay. So, but for the most part, I think that's why. But characters obviously come back.
Yeah.
But like even like the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes, if you notice, prior to I think Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy 2, so only the first part, they never acknowledge how like SpongeBob and Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy know each other. From that point onward, it's just like they're there.
See, another one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like.
And I would like an episode of how the Jelly Spotters got started.
How the Jelly Spotters
You know what I mean? Like little stuff like that.
Yo, I would, even if it's Kevin, like, it's an episode with Kevin. Let's see if this dude comes back.
See, but then you get more of the anchovies, though.
Yo.
You know what I mean?
Yo, oh my gosh. One of the Jelly Spotters' plot twists is Pearl's ex, long tan and handsome. I love to become a Jelly Spotter.
See how they can connect it?
Connect it.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Any final thoughts?
Nah, meme worthy. What's your meme worthy?
I just said the womp womp womp. That's it. And I don't even call that a real meme worthy moment.
I think it's the loser call.
Oh,
loser.
Yeah. Again, like this episode, I don't know. I just
hi, Kevin.
I would give loser over the hi, Kevin, for sure. But I don't know. Like there wasn't a joke in here where I'm like, wow, I was laughing at that. Like it was just like, meh.
Nah, the meat. That's about it.
Again, the anchovies.
Yeah, it was the anchovies.
All right,
anchovies. Nah, that's it for me though.
Alright, so that concludes another episode of Bikini Bottom Banter. Please follow us on our social media channels. Until next time, this is Jared.
This is Kills.
Another episode of Bikini Bottom Banter in the bag.
Yeah, we out.
Thanks for tuning in to another fantastic episode of Bikini Bottom Banter. Don't forget to follow Bikini Bottom Banter on TikTok and Instagram for even more content. Subscribe to them on YouTube and Anchor, plus turn on bell notifications to be updated on their latest episode. And if you've got your own jellyfishing stories or favorite SpongeBob moments, remember to share them with us. You might just hear them on our next episode. So until then, stay bubbly, keep smiling, and remember, subscribe to Bikini Bottom Banter to know all the under the sea.